What is up, sports geeks? It's your host Josh here, back with another podcast, a football podcast here. It has been a while. Happy New Year to everybody listening. Hope everybody had a good holiday season. We've been back. We've been out of commission here for what, 2.5 weeks now. Alec, fantasy football is done. For anybody that had Jahmyr Gibbs, I hope that you went into week 18 because the 4 touchdown performance the other night would have won your league, but I doubt that you did. But either way, so we have the playoffs coming up here for the NFL, right? The playoff picture just got finalized within the last 48 hours. And this is going to be a great playoffs. I think there are so many really teams that I think can win it. Right on the AFC side, you have the Bills, obviously the Chiefs that could three-peat. You have the Ravens that are right there, and then you go to the NFC. You have the Lions that are the favorites. You have the Eagles that are in there with Saquon, and then obviously the other NFC North teams could compete in there as well. So, and the Rams are maybe the hottest team in the NFL right now. So tons of contenders this year. But let's just go game by game here as we just walk through the playoff picture. Let's start in the AFC here. Obviously, Chiefs get the bye, and we have Texans Chargers here in the 4-5 matchup. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, so I think something about the playoffs that I have come to realize every year, it's really what teams are hot. Really upsets me why the Bengals didn't get in because they're hot right now, and that's really all in what it is. The Texans are playing not good football right now. The Texans last week, I will say, they had their first drive. CJ Stroud just played one drive last week. They scored. They kind of treated it like a preseason game. They did look pretty good last week, albeit against the Titans. But they're on a cold streak right now. The Chargers are looking really good. Justin Herbert had a big week last week. Dobbins is back. Lad McConkey looks like a top 15 receiver in the NFL. Is that crazy to say? And that defense is humming. Henley's great. Their new line, their second-year linebacker from Washington State. Bosa's healthy again, so their defense is looking strong. I really think that the Chargers handle the Texans this week, even though it's in Houston.
Yeah, I think that this is one of them where, like, in the playoffs, turnovers are so crucial, right? If you are going to turn the ball over 3 times in a game, you will not win. It's that simple, right? If Jared Goff goes and throws 5 interceptions at Houston, you're never going to win that game in the playoffs. You might be able to in the regular season. If you turn over 5 times in the playoffs, you're not going to do it. The games are just slower. It's just drag. Possessions are longer. You're not going to have as many possessions. It's just how playoff football is, right? It's more physical, and so I think that in that note there that it's more physical, Chargers are the more physical team here, I think. And you're going into Houston, yes, but I think that the way that the Chargers play now, I will say that the way that Chargers play, if the Chargers win the toss, Texans get the ball first, and the Chargers go down and score, or the Texans go down and score a touchdown right away, Chargers go 3 and out, give up another touchdown, it can get dangerous because I don't think the Chargers team is built to come from behind. But I do think that in a full game, I think that the Harbaugh boys are going to get it done here because I think they just play smart football. They're not going to turn the ball over. They might force 1 or 2 turnovers, but they're going to run the ball down your throat. And I think they're just going to play a hard-nosed football that's going to get them at least 1 playoff victory this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're probably a year or 2 away from being a Super Bowl contender. Now, I will say anything's possible with Justin Herbert. He's probably like one of the 6 QBs like on the planet that he could probably win any game. I'm not saying he could beat Mahomes in a playoff game, but he could. Like he actually has like the chance to. So yeah, no, I really do think Chargers more physical. I think they beat the Texans.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. And as the Chargers, if they win as the 5 seed, right? So if just real quickly to go over the 3-6, 2-7 matchup here, I think the Ravens take care of the Steelers pretty easily. I think the Bills take care of the Broncos fairly easily. I think the Broncos have a weird way to play up or down to the level of their competition. So in a game, obviously it's in Buffalo, it's going to be difficult, but I think that they could compete better than what I think the Steelers will. Because we talk about who's hot, who's cold. The Steelers are cold right now.
Yeah, the Steelers are ice cold. George Pickens last week, I don't know what was happening when they were playing the Bengals. It's not like he wasn't trying. His hand-eye coordination was just not working. I don't really know how else to say it. I don't know if he was cold. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there's like a disconnect with Russell Wilson now. But it's kind of sad to see, like, I thought the Steelers were pretty good in the middle of the year. Like when they beat the Ravens the first time, like they were looking good. Their defense was firing. Don't know if like TJ Watt's a little banged up. I think he is, but I think the Ravens are rolling. There's no way and this is coming from an AFC North fan. I hate both these teams. Um, I really think that Derrick Henry in the playoffs is a cheat code. And Lamar in the playoffs is a cheat code until you play Kansas City. We've seen that before, but I just there's no way that Russell Wilson in this offense can beat them.
Yeah, I think like if it was in Pittsburgh, maybe it's a little bit of a different story because you can play this really physical style of football, and TJ Watt can go get a strip sack, and that can win you the game. But this Ravens offense is not going to turn the ball over more than once, right? I could see Lamar throwing a pick. Maybe there's a fumble in there. They're not going to turn the ball over more than one time, and they're going to put up 20-plus points.
Yeah.
And this Steelers offense, I don't feel confident to go put up 20-plus points on the road right now. The Steelers team, yeah, like you're talking about, middle of the year, they're playing good physical football, playoff physical football, right? Where, like what we were just talking about, if you're playing that physical of football where you have two running backs you're using, neither one of them really has that breakaway speed, but you're running for 5 or 6 or 4 95% of the time, that can beat teams in the playoffs, and it will and has. But they're just not playing good football right now. But assuming the Ravens and Bills both win, right, which I think both of us think that they will, we'll get a Chargers-Chiefs matchup, which I think is a really interesting matchup because I don't know how well it bodes for the Chiefs, because this Chargers defensive line has the ability to really expose the biggest, the biggest weakness this Chiefs team has in its offensive tackle.
Yeah, it's not good. Jawan Taylor's atrocious. I
Mm-hmm.
remember they let Orlando Brown go, and then they signed Jawan Taylor for 4 years, 80 mil. Like they literally got rid of Orlando Brown for Jawan Taylor because he came over from the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
It made absolutely no sense. It's like the only mishap they've had in management in the last like 10 years. But it's a pretty big deal. He's pretty bad. And he also false starts on every single play, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's somebody that in a big game against anybody, I don't trust him, right? And but you put him up against like the Bills don't really have an elite pass rushing threat, right? The Ravens really, I mean, you have Madubuike through the middle, but he's really not necessarily on the edge. So their edge rush in general isn't as good. I think the Chargers have the best, other than the Texans. I think the Texans also have,
Yeah, the Texans.
yeah.
The Texans is unbelievable.
But if the Chiefs have to play the winner of that Texans-Chargers game, which we both predict that they will, this is not a good matchup for them. They have to play against somebody that is going to get pressure on Mahomes, and you're in a 3-game playoff for the Chiefs, right? And if you're gonna in game 1 have Mahomes getting hit a ton in a year that he's been banged up, right? He hasn't missed games necessarily, but he's been banged up. That's not good for your odds to go three-peat, I think.
No, and I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you are rooting for the Texans for sure. Like just because of the fact that you just played them a couple weeks ago, I don't think C.J. Stroud could keep up with an Andy Reid playoff level preparation game week. So if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm definitely rooting for the Texans.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think that the Ravens Bills matchup is going to be a heck of a matchup in the and I presume that's what we're going to get, right? But the Ravens Bills matchup, I don't know where I lean here. I think the Bills there's just a weird team where Josh Allen is probably going to win MVP and deservingly so, but you get the 2 MVP finalists here, in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson going at it. And this, if you're looking on paper, the Ravens should be 6.5-point favorites in this game. But it's not on paper because this Bills team in real life plays a million times better than what they are on paper. And that's just the weird thing to me. But I don't know, it's going to be in Buffalo. I think going to Buffalo, I don't know what the weather looks like 2 weeks from now. Going to Buffalo in January is so, so hard. And I know that Baltimore's not warm, but Buffalo is just a different breed. I think I'm going to take the Bills there over the Ravens.
Yeah. So I think Buffalo, if the Ravens actually make it to Buffalo, which we think they will, I just don't think you can play a third game against Pittsburgh in 1 year after a grueling schedule of physicality, and kind of go into Buffalo and out tough them. Lamar's had his playoff troubles in the past. I think and I think you would agree, this is his best season ever. Just from a passing standpoint, from a rushing standpoint, from an efficiency in a rushing standpoint. This is his best year ever. I don't know what it is. I don't trust the Ravens secondary against Josh Allen at home. Like if Josh Allen needs to go 80 yards passing, he's going to do it against this Ravens team. And I just don't know if Lamar is going to show up in Buffalo. And I just have, there's too many question marks. So I'd probably say Buffalo would win.
Yeah. No, I will say with Baltimore, if you're going to win a game in the cold at Buffalo on the road, the rushing attack is how you do it. And Derrick Henry is a game changer for that. But no, I think I'm with you there. We have the Bills in the AFC Championship, and the difficult matchup for the Chiefs here. Do you think either the Texans or the Chargers, which we have the Chargers winning, do you think the Chargers can beat the Chiefs or no?
This is tough. Basically, Andy Reid would be off of because if you watch that Denver game, he for sure did not game plan for that game at all. Like absolutely at all. So you're going to give Andy Reid 3 weeks to basically scout both teams until they know the winner after this weekend. I just don't think he would lose off of 3 weeks of preparation. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I do think this game will be a lot closer than it'll be closer than what a lot of people think. So then we have this is a boring matchup here, a one seed, 2 seed in the AFC Championship. Who do you think ends up coming out on top in this one?
I think Josh Allen gets him this year.
Okay, I don't mind that at all. I think that the way the Bills are playing right now, obviously you already beat the Chiefs, so beating them twice in a year is not going to be easy. But going to Arrowhead in late January, it's going to be loud. It's going to be cold. But the Bills are a team they're not scared of the cold at all. This is probably the only team that could go into Arrowhead other than maybe like the Patriots. Or, I mean, obviously not, the Patriots aren't good, but like maybe the Patriots or the Jets or like the Buffalo, it is so cold. They're used to it there. I think it's going to be a heck of a matchup there, though. And I do agree with you. I think Josh Allen, I don't think the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl this year. I think they have enough of an offensive tackle weakness that in the playoffs, if you face the correct scheme, the defensive scheme on the wrong day, they've been escaping with victories when it gets closer and you don't get as many possessions. I think that an inefficient offense, kind of like what the Chiefs have shown this year, right? And I don't think they've scored 30 plus all year. Mm-hmm. I think that the inefficient offense might hurt them, but at the same time, they do have Patrick Mahomes. So maybe it cancels out. Yeah.
And I also do think like there's only been 2 QBs to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I had to throw this in. There's only been 2 QBs to beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead in the playoffs, and it's Burrow and Allen, or not Burrow. I'm sorry, Burrow and Brady. Josh Allen's probably better than Joe Burrow, so he could easily do it.
Yeah, no,
I would be one guy to do it. It's not going to be, it's not going to be Russell Wilson. It's going to be Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. So we have the Bills in the Super Bowl coming out of the AFC. We'll head over to the NFC now because we have the Lions. My Lions with the bye. Obviously, that is absolutely massive for a team that's been really banged up. They're going to get Terrion Arnold back. David Montgomery's going to be back for that second game or for that first game. So big game. Let's start at the Eagles-Packers game because I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. I think this Packers team is a very, very good team. They don't necessarily have the receiving weapons that I think you need to be able to beat these rookie corners here. I think Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they've both been great this year. But this Eagles rushing attack is great, but this Packers rushing defense has been steadily improving all season.
Yeah, I think it just depends. I didn't check the practice reports yet. Did Jalen Hurts practice today?
I don't know if he practiced. I know Nick Sirianni came out and said he is, quote, not concerned about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, gotcha. Because I knew he was still like in the pretty deep into the protocol yesterday from reports. But if Jalen Hurts plays, Jordan Love has not been playing well lately. I really don't see how the Eagles lose at home.
Yeah,
especially if Jalen Hurts plays, I just don't see how they lose at home.
Yeah, I mean, they're with the offensive line. They have a more physical team. I think that they'll probably take care of it as well. Commanders, I think the Commanders upset the Bucs. That's my one pick here. I think that the Commanders can get the Bucs. I think that this Buccaneers team, I think for them to stop the run, they have to put too many guys in the box. That's their problem right now. And you have Vita Vea through the middle, who is absolutely great, right? Levante David somehow is still playing at a really high level, but you don't have another linebacker, right? And you don't have outside of, if you take Levante David and Vita Vea out of the game, they have nobody that I would trust to go make a play against the run game.
Yeah, I mean, they tried the Servassier Dennis thing. They tried the KJ Britt thing as their backup linebacker. It's just not working. And for Levante David to almost be 35 years old, it's kind of like the Commander thing where it's like they got Frankie Louvu, but like they also have Bobby Wagner. But like there's not a Frankie Louvu type for like Levante David. Like it's just him. And there's no way, and like this is my opinion, there's no way the Bucs are going to be able to stop like Jaden Daniels in this game, like for all 4 quarters. Like I just can't see that.
Right. I would agree with that. Now, that's not saying that the Commanders are necessarily going to be able to stop Baker Mayfield. I think this one's probably going to be a shootout, but this is going to be a good game. And this is one of those where in the NFC here, the weather is not as big of a factor at all with the teams in it, right? You look at, I mean, if Green Bay is not going to host a playoff game, that's really the only one with a toxic, weather. Tampa Bay is that's not toxic at all. Los Angeles and Detroit are both in domes. I mean, not that Los Angeles would be toxic either. So the weather's not going to be a factor here. Going to Tampa Bay, this is a game. If you're looking at all of the road games that you play here, I think if throughout the entire playoffs, the Texans is probably the easiest place to play. And then I would go the Commanders or the Bucs here. So maybe the Rams. Maybe the Rams, they don't have necessarily a huge fan base, but so I like the Commanders over them. And then let's go to that Rams-Vikings game because this is going to be a spectacular game.
Yeah. I want to hear your take first before I get
okay. Yeah, no, so this is maybe going to come to a shock to some people because you do have the 14-win 5 seed, and I think that they go down in the first round. I think that this Vikings team, what Detroit just did to them, this is being recorded on Tuesday, so what Detroit just did to them 2 days ago, I think really what Aaron Glenn did to their offense is just a blueprint for how to beat the Vikings in the playoffs. I think that's all that is get Sam Darnold, get pressure in his face quickly. Do not let him sit in the pocket. Do not give Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jalen Naylor. Do not give these guys 4, 5, 6 seconds to win on their routes because they will. There's no denying that. And I think that you give a coach as smart as Sean McVay, you give him a blueprint like what he just saw and then have him not replicate it. And I don't trust Sam Darnold to see the same thing this week and play differently. That's my thing. I do think that they're going to get the ball to Justin Jefferson more. They're going to utilize their weapons more than what they've used them in the Lions game. The Lions were weirdly shut down. But I just don't think – I think this Vikings team is good, but they're very, very, very subject to be fraudulent. I'm not saying they are overall fraudulent, but game-by-game basis, they have the ability to play absolutely terrible, led by Sam Darnold, who has played absolutely terrible in games in the seasons in the past. This season, he's been great. I'm not trying to discredit him at all, but you take a quarterback with a rough history who's played great this year, that seems like maybe a recipe for disaster when he goes on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think there's going to be a lot of Vikings fans at this game. And I don't think it's like the typical, like we talked about, like the road atmosphere for a playoff game, just because LA doesn't have that many fans, like actually true fans they like in LA. So this is tough for me because the Rams are a one-man band. It's Puka or die. And Brian Flores is too good to just let Puka go for 13 catches for 160. I really think he is. I don't know. This is tough. I could either see this game being like 28-27 or like 14-9. And I don't really know which one. I will say, like, if we're going coaches, this is maybe the best matchup of the first round for sure. Like these coaches are unbelievable. I might sound like a wuss here, but I'm rooting for a good game. That's what I think is going to happen. But no, I'll make a pick. I think the Vikings win this game just because I think they bounce back. I think the Rams are really one-dimensional on offense. So I'm just going to go Vikings here, but easily could see the Rams just pulling one out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I am. I'm rooting for a good game too. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I do hope that the Commanders win early, so that this game does not matter for who plays Detroit. Because as a Detroit fan, I don't want to play either of those teams. I would prefer to play the Commanders or the Packers over the Vikings and the Rams. But I do think, real quick, final comment about the Rams here is that Sean McVay, when you're facing off against Brian Flores, who primarily is a blitzing defensive coordinator. The way to beat the blitz is, one, identify from where it's at, which Matthew Stafford is one of, if not the best in the league at doing that. And two, get the ball out of his hands quickly. And this offense is designed absolutely perfectly to do just that, to get the ball out quickly, to identify where the blitzes are coming from. And I think that when Brian Flores doesn't do that, he kind of drops into soft zone is typically what he's done. And that's what he did against the Lions. And there was kind of a period in that third quarter where Goff picked him apart. They didn't even run the ball. They just threw for 5 to 8 yards every single play. And it was like open every time, because at that point in the game, Ben Johnson and Jared Goff had figured out the defense. It took them a half. It's not going to take Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford a half. It might take them 2 possessions. So I think that's one where I could very easily see the Rams just picking apart this Vikings defense because of how smart and how experienced both Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay are in the playoffs. I mean, with the playoff atmosphere. And Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell are not experienced in the playoffs, really.
Yeah, and I think also, like, last point is Cooper Kupp. Is he washed? Is he not washed? Like, if Cooper Kupp plays big, like, I think they win this game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Cooper Kupp as the most important player is a good call. I like that a lot. So we have a Rams or Vikings playing the Eagles, and then a Commanders Lions. Let's start with the Commanders Lions, because I think we're probably going to pick the same one here. You probably know who I'm going to pick. I'm going to let this one go to you, though.
Yeah, I don't even think we need to talk about this one that much. I think the Lions handle them pretty handedly at home. I don't see a rookie QB with basically only one weapon beating the Lions at home in a playoff game.
Yeah, I would agree. I also think that if all of these fan bases in the NFC, outside of maybe the Bucks, who already won at Detroit this year, I don't think anybody's really going to. Nobody's going to travel as bad as Washington would. I don't think Washington, you look at, is anybody going? Are you going to get your fans to take up a section in their stadium? I don't think Washington takes up even a quarter of a section at Ford Field. So it's going to be strictly Lions fans, 120 decibels pumping into your rookie quarterback's ears. It's not going to be easy to play.
Yeah, and last thing about this game, because I think we're pretty aligned with this. If you're telling me you get Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn versus Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury with a worse team, like Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury with a significantly worse team, I'm just give me the Lions.
Yeah, no, agreed. So
Lions and the points, whatever the point spread is, I'm taking.
I like to hear that. So Lions in the NFC Championship here, and then we have the Eagles against the Rams or the Vikings. How do you think this game goes here?
Tough. I think I really like the Eagles this year. If Jalen Hurts is healthy, so I think the NFC, and this sucks because it's going to be a 1-2-1-2 for us, just chalk. But I think the Eagles would beat either of those teams.
Okay. I think that the Eagles-Rams is a game that could be extremely interesting to me, because I think that the Eagles have the ability to turn the ball over 2 to 3 times. And I think that if you turn the ball over 2 to 3 times, the Rams do too, don't get me wrong. Rams do, the Vikings both do, but the Rams have the ability to really, really punish you through the air through that. And again, when you have a coach as smart as Sean McVay, what I watched the Rams do to the Lions earlier this year in week 1 on Sunday Night Football, somehow we won that game. We should not have won that game. But if Cooper Kupp plays well and he gets the Cooper Kupp that we remember, right? And obviously not 2019 Triple Crown Cooper Kupp, but we just need earlier in the season Cooper Kupp. If you have 2 receivers that are that good and a coach that's that smart with a quarterback that can be on, if Stafford is on in a game, it's really dangerous for any defense. And you get maybe some rookie cornerback jitters in the NFC or in the division around there. I don't know. I could see the Rams winning, but I think the Eagles probably win there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think just Eagles are just, and we said it before, when it comes down to the playoff football, like it's just about being more tough, being able to run the ball. Saquon is, I mean, the best running back in the NFL this year. So I just trust a team that can push any third and short, second and short, fourth and short. It's just the cheat code. Like I just trust them a little more.
Yep. No, I would agree with you. So Lions, Eagles here. I'm not going to say anything. I'm curious to hear your thoughts first.
So this is actually tough for me because I think the Eagles defense is pretty good. The Lions getting the 1 seed is literally the key of the playoffs for them.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't lose at Ford Field. They did against the Bucs, but like it's a regular season game. Like stuff happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what week that was. That was pretty early, right?
It's week 2. Yeah, week 2.
Okay, week 2. Like it's not like, it's not playoff football mindset in week 2. So I think the Lions win. I think it could be a really good game. Like
Yeah.
I would really enjoy watching this game.
I think this is the game I could see going into overtime comfortably.
Yep.
And the 1 seed, what will make or what would have made or broke the season for the Lions. So I think that getting a 1 seed's massive,
Yep.
and this place is going to be so loud. You have a chance to make the Super Bowl for the first time ever, and it's played at your home stadium. If you're a Detroit fan, you live within 2 hours and you are above the age of 30, you're spending however much money to go to the game. Whereas for the Eagles, look, you've been there before. You won a Super Bowl in the last 10 years. So for you guys, it's not near as big of a game, right? You don't have fans that have been waiting 40 years to go watch this game. So I think that the atmosphere is going to be absolutely crazy, but I could certainly see the Lions losing this game. Don't get me wrong. I think that Saquon, with how beat up our defensive line is, if Saquon gets going, this could be just a rough. We could really struggle to stop him.
So and I know you're nervous about this. I can just sense that you're nervous about the playoffs this year because this is the best Lions team ever. And it's probably a top 2 roster in the NFL. My thing about this year is like, if Jared Goff plays like he did, like against the 49ers a couple weeks ago, or like those big games that he had, you guys aren't losing and you guys will probably win a Super Bowl. But if he has like a Texans game, like and I'd probably say it's like an 80-20 where he has like a great game or like a mid game. But it just makes me nervous because the NFL is it's one and done. It's not the NBA where it's a 7-game series. It just, if your quarterback has a bad game, it's over. And I think that's why we love the NFL playoffs, because it's just so crazy. Like anything can really happen.
Yeah, literally. Like PS2 could go have 2 pick sixes and the Bills could be out of the playoffs in the first round. But
that would be pretty crazy. That would be pretty crazy.
Unlikely, but yeah, no, literally anything could happen. So I think it'll be interesting to see. But assuming it's a Lions-Bills rematch of the matchup earlier in the season, who do you think wins this game in our Super Bowl here?
Whoever gets to 40 first. Whoever gets to 40. I don't know who. I don't know who would get to 40 first, but I'd probably say the Bills.
Okay.
I've been on this thing lately where like the NFL is about narratives, and it's Josh Allen's turn. And I've thought that all year. If he plays well, I think he wins the Super Bowl this year. I think it's just like the next step of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to go with my Lions here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Given. And I think my reason why, other than the fact that I am a Detroit fan, is because if you give Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson 2 weeks to prep for a big game, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for their game plans to not work out. These are 2 guys that could be head coaches in a month and a half.
For sure.
Like,
they probably if
they
wanted to, they would be.
Yes,
if they want to, they will be.
Yeah, which I think Aaron Glenn wants to. I think he's going to be. Ben Johnson, that's my homer hot take, is that he doesn't want to be a head coach. But either way, that's not what we're talking about here. But I think that giving these guys 2 weeks of preparation time is one that could be really, really dangerous. Like we saw what Aaron Glenn's game plan did to this Vikings offense that had been great, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing Sam Darnold to Josh Allen, but the weapons around Sam Darnold are a million times better than the weapons around Josh Allen. So to go shut down, I mean, I know Jettis has 3 for 56. So I mean, I would say that's nearly shut down for Jettas. Jordan Addison literally shut down, 1 catch for 0 yards, I think.
0 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, and so to go do that to those weapons makes me think that if you give him 2 weeks, there's a possibility that somehow he gets the ability, or he schemes Josh Allen to get sacked 3 to 5 times. And if you can force this Bills team to have negative plays, that's when I think they're going to start to really struggle. The only problem is that their quarterback doesn't have negative plays.
Yeah, and you just have to pray before the game, during the game, during a timeout, that Josh Allen throws a pick or like fumble, something like that. You guys are going to get healthy though, so I think that helps. But having the coaching advantage helps. But having a Terminator as a quarterback who literally doesn't get sacked and just escapes from everything and throws 55-yard seeds down the field to Khalil Shakir, who was a 4th rounder, or 5th, I don't even know. Like, it's pretty crazy what Josh Allen's been doing. So it's really hard to beat the MVP of the league. I think Josh Allen's going to win MVP. So it'd be an unbelievable Super Bowl. I'm actually really rooting for that Super Bowl because the points it's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm rooting for the Broncos to play the Lions in the Super Bowl, but assuming that doesn't happen, then I'll take the Bills Lions game would be just absolutely electric. And I will say, it's really hard to beat a team twice. I mean, people say it all the time in the NFL. It is really hard to beat a team twice. Obviously, if you're in the division, you have to play them twice. But to beat them in the regular season, to beat them in the playoffs, it's really difficult. The Bills are going to have to do it twice. They're going to have to beat the Chiefs and the Lions in this situation that we've drawn out. So it's going to be really tough. But no, I'm with you. Josh Allen's ability is unreal. So that's the playoff picture that we have here, though. Make sure to go hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It's free. It's easy. And that's all we have for the NFL playoff picture. We have NFL mock drafts coming every single week starting now. So make sure to go check those ones out as well. Other than that, though, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.